good evening. Today, I'm welcomed by a familiar guest, Dr. Dan Kessler. Dan, good evening.
Good evening, Sri. It's great to join you.
All right. I know it's been a while since we did the podcast. Our last one was, I think we did the Masters one. And as the U.S., in the U.S., we have the NBA and NHL in full swing. Across the pond, we do have tennis. We have French Open tennis that started uh, today, U.S. time, and matches are already going on as we are speaking. But one thing I wanted to start before I dive into the men's bracket with Dr. Dan is to kind of talk about who's not playing today or who's not playing this French Open. Rafael Nadal, the 14-time winner at the French Open, who has been a familiar occurrence since he won in 2005, 14 majors at the French Open, record of 112 and 3. Due to injuries, he's not going to be able to play, which is kind of very sad. He's also known as King of Clay. So it'll be pretty sad not to see him play. So, Dan, maybe before we get into the draw, your thoughts on Nadal and what he has meant to the French Open and his dominance of the French Open.
Yeah, I mean, like he's put the French Open on the map. I think as far as kind of must-see TV now, as far as for tennis fans. Like I was discussing with you a few minutes ago, the French Open was kind of French and the Australian were kind of forgotten tournaments. There's still majors, obviously, but after Wimbledon's probably still the granddaddy of them all, and then you got U.S. Open close right after that, and then after that it was it'd be the two other majors. But once Rafa kind of came around and started winning, it really put the French on the map, and his style of tennis just so perfect for the clay, obviously the consummate grinder, and as the record states, 100 and what did you say, 112 and 3. That speaks for
yes, right.
That's an incredible stat. That's just amazing. So no, I mean he's made the French Open fun to watch. He'll be missed for sure, but I'm sure all the other players aren't missing him too much because they're going to all have a chance, to prevail now and get a trophy.
Right. And then let's dive right into the brackets, and I'll start off with the players that I think could win the majors, but win this major. But then, based on the draw and the bracket, let's see who has a sure path to winning this. I mean, to me, I know Djokovic is coming after. I mean, I think he's been bothered about some injuries. I think he's not played his best, but I still consider him the favorite. Of course, Medvedev and Alcaraz. I mean, these are the three players I think have a realistic shot of winning. But there are other players at the wings like Tsitsipas and Holger Rune, as well as Casper Ruud. So let's see. Let's start going into the bracket right now, Dan, and your thoughts on who has the best chance to lift the trophy.
Yeah, so I'll start on the opposite side of the bracket from I'm considering the side with Alcaraz and Novak. We'll touch on that in a moment. I think that's the side everyone's really watching with the two of the premier players. It's too bad they're on the same side of the same. They'll meet in the semis potentially, but on the other side, I'm just looking at the kind of potential quarterfinal matchups and the players. You might have touched on a few of these, but we got Holger Rune from Denmark on one side. He's the 6th seed along with Casper Ruud, who I think that's right. Ruud was the finalist last year against Novak. Against Rafa last year. Rafa was just too much for Ruud, but that was quite a tournament still for Ruud. His first final in a major, and he was I think he trained at the Rafa Academy. He's kind of a protege from there. So you got like Rune and Ruud getting to a quarter against each other, and I think Rune's been hot the last month, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't he beat both Alcaraz and Novak? I believe. I know he beat Novak recently. I think Alcaraz also possibly. And then on the bottom half of that bracket, that side, you got Sinner from Italy and then Medvedev, who's I think kind of peaking right now. He's found his game. He had some injuries last year, but it looks like he's found his game again. So I think I see like a Medvedev Rune semifinal with ultimately I think Medvedev coming out of that half. That's my pick. So I'll take Medvedev. Sticking with the 2 seed, not picking any huge upsets, but I think he's tough and steady, and he's going to prevail in that half. What do you think, Sri, about that side? Who do you like coming out of that half?
I definitely of the opinion that Medvedev is the player who could make punch. I would say punches ticket to the final.
Uh-huh.
He's been playing too consistent, uh, and ever since he's won the U.S. Open, he's played pretty well. But I think this year, especially the last few months, he has played well. I mean, he's got the game for the clay court. Uh, Although Holger Rune is someone who's actually peaking at the right time just before the French Open.
Yep.
Um, I feel that Medvedev would still edge him out based on the experience he has in winning championships and also on the courts. And on the other side, I'm not sure if Novak has been bothered by some injuries. I mean, he's not played his best. Maybe the young players are finally catching up to him, but even then, I still feel that Novak is the guy to beat. He's just so mentally tough. He's probably one of the players that who can just take any game away from anyone. So I still give him a shot to go to the semis. And I believe if he goes into the semis, it could be an Alcaraz Novak, or is it much earlier than that?
Yeah, no, it might be a semifinal matchup.
It may be a semifinal matchup.
Novak's main competition in his little. I'm looking at his little quarterfinal. His Novak, the two players I think he's got to worry about coming out of his little group of 16, his pod we'll call it, is Batista Agut and Hurkacz from the Polish kid from Poland. So I think Novak, those are tough players. But I like Novak coming out of that quarter, and then the quarter below that you got Kachanov, the young American Ben Shelton, who's made some noise recently, and you got Andrei Rublev. But I think Kachanov he's been peaking at all the majors lately. He's been getting to the quarters consistently, and I think possibly to a few semis. I think he might have made the semi at the Australian. So I like Kachanov getting to the quarter against Novak, but Novak just gonna be too tough. I probably give up a set, but my prediction is beat him in 4 sets in that bottom half of the draw, and then. Looking at the top half, you can't pick against Alcaraz. There's no way. I don't think anyone in the right mind can go against him. So I think you got Alcaraz. He should cruise through his quarter and then meet up with, looks like probably, I would say Tsitsipas. I think he's played well at the French recently. He's showed that he's, hasn't really choked at the majors in the early rounds too much recently. He had a tough match today. We were just talking about 1 in 4 sets, but I think his toughest competitions for Tsitsipas will be Diego Schwartzman, who's always tough on clay, and the young American Korda. Part of that.
And Sebi did win in 3 sets today. And talk about, you were talking about Kachanov. He barely had I think he had a scare today. I think he won in 5, dropping the first 2 sets and then 1 in 5. And Hurkacz, the Polish kid, I think he 1 in 5 as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And we can definitely go back and check it. And on the other side, you were talking about Tsitsipas. Ever since Tsitsipas blew the lead against Novak Djokovic, I think it was a couple of years ago in the French Open. Right. He's never been able to get to the final in any other major. So there is some of that still lingering in his head. And to your point about Alcaraz and Medvedev, I think we both agree on that. Maybe let's pick the winner. Who do you think would be the winner? In my mind, it could be Alcaraz, and he's just coming off that U.S. Open win. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just think his game is so well. I mean, his game is suited for all surfaces, as we know, but I think especially for clay too. I just think with his he grew up on clay. That's just like Rafa. He knows that surface so well. He hits that big topspin shots. The draw. He owns that drop shot. He can just drop you to death on the clay. And he's like I said, he's great on all surfaces. He's U.S. Open. He's going to do great at. I guess people are going to be talking about him like the next. People are picking how many majors he's going to win lifetime, but whether he's an all-time great, it's early to really talk about that with him. But he's looking like he's headed on that path. So I've got Alcaraz winning this tournament overall, but I'm hoping that semi Alcaraz Novak is a match for the ages. That would be a great semi. I'm looking forward to watching that. Hopefully that match happens.
Yeah, definitely. And then let's quickly, go to the American side of things. Let's see. Sebi Korda he has shown a lot of promise. Although I'm a little bummed that Isner lost today, one of my favorite American players. Maybe Sebi or even Shelton. I think Shelton. I was watching Shelton in the morning. I really don't know what happened to the game. I haven't seen the scores yet.
Yeah,
Pretty impressive. He's been pretty impressive. So let's see if
didn't talk
Taylor
about
Fritz,
at all.
Fritz
Taylor
or
Fritz kind of been forgotten recently for some reason. Taylor Fritz.
True. And then we'll see if Sebi can make some noise at the French Open. It'll be good to see an American get to the top four. It's been a while, so I think I'm looking forward to that. So I think both of us agree on that. Alcaraz is our pick to win the major
Yep.
at the French Open in the absence of Nadal. It'll be different, but one from maybe the baton passes from one Spaniard to another,
Yep.
just like we had in golf recently when John Rahm lifted it, from Sevi.
Heavy.
So
Yeah.
I think this could be very uh, ironic, I would say. Let's see
Yeah.
how that goes.
And then one other golf comparison, real quick, like you said, Novak. Even though he hasn't been playing great recently, I kind of liken him in personality too to Brooks Koepka. Who just
You're right.
won the major. That guy just both of them come to play at the majors. They they don't. Novak doesn't play as much at other tournaments maybe these days. Injuries, this and that. But and he's so mentally tough, just like Koepka. When it comes to a major, he's such a tough out. And they're both not. They're not media darlings, either one of them either. So there's the comparison between the two of them in two different sports. But I think it kind of holds true, that comparison, a little bit.
And in the women's side, I still give I think Sabalenka is coming off a win. So I feel that she's got her game pretty good. She won in straight sets today. And Iga Swiatek is there as well. And Rybakina is there. But on the American side, I would look at like Pegula. Maybe this is her chance. I mean, she's been knocking on the doors for a long time. Your thoughts on how that women's bracket could shape up? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. You named all the favorites. If I had to pick somebody, I think I would go with, maybe just to mix it up a little bit, because Swiatek's been the popular pick for a while. I mean, Rybakina from Kazakhstan, she's been streaking this year. She's maybe a popular pick right now. I mean, that's not going out on a limb that much. She is a 4 seed after all, but maybe Rybakina, and then Ons Jabeur, 7 seed. She's tough out as well. And then we didn't mention Coco Gauff. She's still, I think,
right.
waiting through. I'm not sure. I don't know if what's her. I'm not sure what the furthest she's advanced at a major. Has she got to a semifinal yet? Or
Yes, I believe so. I mean, I have to go look it up. But to your point, right? I mean, Coco Gauff, again, has been knocking on the doors, just like Pegula. I actually think Pegula could advance, even though this may not be her favorite court. To me, my pick to win the French Open is Sabalenka. I mean, she's always had the game. She had a lot of struggles with her serves a couple of years ago, but ever since she has won a major, I feel that sometimes when any player wins a major, they have a feeling that they can actually win another one, and that happened to Sharapova as well. But uh, these are some things I look for in terms of like winning one major and using that major as a momentum to win others. And I feel my pick is going to be Sabalenka.
Okay.
What do you think could win it all in the women's side of things?
If I had you to pin me down, I'm going to go with Rybakina then. So you put me down for Rybakina for the ladies, and Alcaraz for the men. Those are my two picks.
Okay,
And
I go with Alcaraz and Sabalenka. So let's see if that will come to fruition. But this was great. I think what we can also do is that maybe as we go to the French Open with maybe the quarters, we can come back and see how our picks came through, and then also do some previews of some of those matches as well.
That sounds like a plan. It was great joining you this afternoon, Sri.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, Dan. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.